Welcome to the Dragon Table. Today I'm going to teach you how to play the Hare and the Tortoise. This is a racing game in which you play cards to move the different animals along the track, trying to get the animals that you have bet on to the podium first. Each animal has a different type of movement. I'll show you how it plays. So the Hare and the Tortoise comes in this really cute little box. It looks like a book. It's got a magnetic closure on it. It has a summary of the movement of the animals on the inside. There's a little book that has 3 versions of the Hare and the Tortoise tale in it, the rules, and then a nice insert with all of the components in it. Let me show you how to set it up. There is a variant for this game that's supposed to be for younger kids or less experienced kids, but I think that the main game is perfectly appropriate for any level of player. So everyone's going to get one of these cards. This summarizes the movement of the different types of animals: the hare, the tortoise, the wolf, the fox, and the sheep. I'll go over this in a minute. Then there are 5 betting cards, one for each of the type of animal. You're going to shuffle these and deal them at random to each player, and that would be their starting bet card. For instance, if you get this card, the fox, you're going to want to try and get him to finish first. In a 2-player game, each player gets 2 of these starting bet cards. Now we're going to build the track. We're going to put out the start line first. Then you're going to take the track tiles and shuffle them. It does not really matter what order they're in. You just want to ideally spread out where the water is. Then you're going to put down the finish line and the podium. Now, in addition to your starting bet card and your player guide, you're going to get dealt 7 of these racing cards. The racing cards are the different animals in the game. And you're going to choose one of these as your second bet card. So you could double down. You could go with the same animal that you have on your starting bet card, or you could go with something different. So we have a fox already. Let's say we put the hare down. And both the starting bet card and your second bet card are going to be hidden. Now you have a hand of 6 cards. And now we're going to place all of the animal pawns on the starting line. So now the race begins. You take turns in clockwise order, playing these racing cards face up in front of you. And you always have to play the same animal. You can place 1 to 4 cards, and they have to be of the same animal. Once you've placed your cards, you refill your hand with cards from the deck, so you always have 6 cards in your hand. If at the end of your turn, either exactly 8 cards have been placed, or exactly 4 cards of the same animal, then that triggers the racing phase. So you can never play more than 4 cards of the same animal, and you can never play more than 8 cards total. So let's look at an example of what would happen when a racing phase is triggered. So let's say player 1 plays 3 fox cards. Player 2 plays a tortoise card. Player 3 plays 2 sheep cards. And then player 4 plays a 4th fox card. Because it's now filled the requirements of 4 of the same animal being played, the turns are stopped for the moment and we have the racing phase. So now you're going to refer to either the inside of the box or your player aid to determine how the animals move. The hare will move 2 spaces if 1 to 4 cards are played. If the hare is in first place or tied for first place and 4 cards are played, then he doesn't move at all. He takes a nap. The tortoise always moves 1 space if 0 to 3 cards are played. If 4 cards are played, he moves 2 spaces. The wolf will move 1 spot if 1 or 2 cards are played. If 3 or 4 cards are played, then he moves that number of cards minus 1. So 3 would move him 2 spaces, 4 would move him 3 spaces. Some of the wolf cards have a howl icon on them. It looks like that. If a wolf card with the howl has played, none of the other animals move that turn because they're so terrified. The fox moves the same number of spaces as cards that are played, and the sheep will always move the number of cards played plus 1. However, The sheep has to stop at water crossings. So let's look at this instance and see how the animals move. Well, the fox, 4 cards were played, so the fox moves 4 spaces. One card was played for the tortoise, so he moves 1 space. 2 cards were played for the sheep, so he moves 3 spaces. Sorry, I've been saying sheep. It's supposed to be lamb. Now all of these cards are discarded. Make sure everyone is back to 6 cards, which they should have been after their individual turns. And then you move on to the next round. So let's do another example. Let's say that someone plays 3 sheep cards and someone plays 4 tortoise cards, which would trigger the racing phase. The sheep would move 3 spaces, 1, 2, but he hits water. He has to stop, so he can't move the 3rd space. Meanwhile, the tortoise, because 4 cards were played, would move 2 spaces. So let's do another example. Let's see, someone plays a tortoise, someone plays 2 fox cards, someone plays 2 hare cards, and then someone plays 3 wolf cards with a howl. That's a total of 8 cards, so the racing phase is triggered. Because someone played a howl card, none of the animals move except for the wolf. The wolf has 3 cards played, so he moves 3 minus 1, which is 2. He moves 2 spaces, and none of the other animals move. Let's look at what happens at the end. All right, so we're getting towards the end of the game. Someone plays 2 wolf cards, someone plays 2 hare cards, and someone plays 4 tortoise cards. So that fulfills both requirements. You have 4 tortoise cards, that's 1 animal, and 8 total cards. So now we'll move. And you always move in the order shown on your player aid. So the hare always moves, get in focus. The hare always moves first, then the tortoise, then the wolf, then the fox, then the sheep. So first up is the hare. The hare is going to move 2 spaces. 1, 2. So he goes on the number 1 spot on the podium. Then the tortoise moves, and he moves 2 spaces. 1, 2. The wolf has 2 cards played, so he moves 1 spot, and now he'll go on the 2nd spot of the podium. And then you'd go to the next turn. If the tortoise makes it onto the podium next, let's assume he does, then the race is over and you're going to score points based on where the animals are. It says on the podium how many points you score. Anyone who has an animal on a betting card or their secret racing card that's on the first place of the podium gets 5 points for each instance of the card that they have. So if they doubled down and their animal got first place, then they would get 10 points total. 3 points for second place and 2 points for third place. If you have an animal that didn't make it onto the podium, you don't get any points. And that's it. Whoever has the highest score wins. If it's a tie, the animal that's higher on the podium is the tiebreaker. It's a really fun game for not just kids. It's fun for adults too. It's fun for adults and kids. It's a great family game. And it's a nice filler game too. I recommend it. The Hare and the Tortoise. Thanks for visiting the Dragon Table. I'll see you next time.